Okay, so you definitely know the music, that raw, chart-topping mix of country, rock, and hip-hop. But behind the artist we know as Jelly Roll is the even more incredible story of Jason DeFord. It's a journey of shedding not just a really troubled past, but literally hundreds of pounds. So let's dive right in.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the struggles that really forged who he was. Then, we're going to tackle the final mountain, his health. We'll see exactly how he conquered it. And finally, the brand new life he's built for himself. It's a true modern-day hero's journey, for sure. To really get where Jelly Roll is now, we have to rewind the clock and go back to where he started, the Antioch neighborhood of Nashville, Tennessee. This was his old world, a place where, let's be honest, his path was set on a collision course with the justice system from a very, very young age. And listen, the scale of his early struggles, it's just staggering. His first arrest? He was only 14. By 16, he was facing an adult charge for aggravated robbery, and that charge haunted him for years. Between the ages of 14 and 25, he was arrested something like 40 times, which landed him back in jail in 2008. But even in the middle of all that chaos, music was his lifeline. In his hustle, it was something else, to say the least. While he was dealing drugs on the streets of Nashville, he would literally hand out his mixtapes. He'd say, "Here's a sack of weed, here's a gram of coke, and here's my mixtape." It was basically his business card, blending his two worlds in this really raw, undeniable way. And then, the moment that changed everything. Back in 2008, sitting in a jail cell, a guard knocks on his door with news that would completely alter his life. He was a father. He didn't even know the baby's name, but he knew right there in that instant that the life he was living had to be over. This was it, the ultimate wake-up call. The birth of his daughter, Bailey Ann, was the spark he needed. In his own words, he says, "My daughter saved my life. She wasn't old enough to even know it." This was his reason, the reason to finally break that cycle for good. So he'd broken the cycle of crime, which is a massive achievement in itself. But escaping one prison just showed him another one he was trapped in. After getting custody of his daughter and leaving his past in the rearview mirror, Jelly Roll had to face a final, lifelong battle, his addiction to food and his weight. This was his last mountain to climb. At his absolute heaviest, this was the number staring back at him: 540 pounds. It actually got to the point where regular scales couldn't even weigh him, and he was told to go to a meat processing plant or a truck stop just to find a scale big enough. The sheer scale of the challenge was just immense. These are his own words, and man, they paint such a vivid picture of not just his physical state, but his mental one too. A 550-pound zombie. He's been really open about how for years, food wasn't just fuel, it was his main coping mechanism, right? It was his escape from all the pain and chaos that had been following him since he was just a little kid. This image really gets to the heart of his internal struggle. For years, that signature beard was way more than a style choice. It was a shield. He used it to hide his insecurity about his weight. So when he finally shaved it for the first time in a decade, it was this huge symbolic act of stepping out into the light, Okay, so how on earth did he do it? Overcoming a challenge this big takes more than just willpower. It takes a solid plan, a ton of discipline, and a total lifestyle overhaul. So let's look at the how of his transformation. It all kicked off not with some grand plan, but with a single, what seemed like an impossible goal. His buddies, the comedians Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, challenged him to join their 5K race. Now at the time, just walking a single mile left him gasping for air and in pain. The idea of running over 3 miles, it was almost a joke. But that challenge became the catalyst, the spark that lit the fire. He didn't just wing it. He built a whole system for himself, brick by painful brick. He forced himself to start walking, then running, 2 to 3 miles a day, 6 days a week. He hired a nutritionist to confront years of bad habits with a disciplined, high-protein diet. But maybe the most important part? He found community. His tour crew didn't just stand by. They started playing basketball with him to keep his spirits up. And he finished every single grueling day with a recovery routine of saunas and these bone-chilling cold plunges. It was a total, all-out assault on that mountain. And the results? Well, they're just staggering. From a peak of 540 pounds, he finally broke that 500-pound barrier at the start of 2024, which was a huge psychological win. Today, he's weighing in at around 285 pounds. That is a loss of over 250 pounds. Just seeing it visually like this really drives home the scale of what he's accomplished.
So what does this new life actually look like? Well, it's not just about being physically smaller. It's about living bigger, using this second chance to make a real impact and to experience the world in ways that were once totally impossible for him.
And this is where his journey comes full circle in the most incredible way. In January 2024, the man who once sold drugs on the streets of Antioch stood before the U.S. Senate. He testified to support the Fend Off Fentanyl Act, using his own story to push for change. And he said it so powerfully: "I was a part of the problem. I am here now standing as a man that wants to be a part of the solution."
He's also embracing the fun side of life. He's explained that to do all the really exciting stuff, you have to be under 250 pounds. So he's got this bucket list just waiting for him. He wants to skydive, ride a roller coaster for the first time, ride a bull, and yup, even wrestle an alligator. He is ready to live life to the absolute fullest.
And you gotta love that he's celebrating every single victory, big and small, with his signature humor. After shedding over 200 pounds, he posted this, joking about the new dangers his wallet is facing now that he can fit into designer clothes. It's just a perfect glimpse into his personality, grateful, funny, and enjoying every single moment of this new chapter.
Jelly Roll's story is such a powerful reminder that it is never too late to confront the biggest obstacles in your life, whether they're from your past or inside yourself. He faced down a prison sentence and a 500-pound mountain, and that really leaves us with one final thought. What's your mountain?